triple signing of Christian Mosquera, Noni Madueke, and Victor Gyökeres. Deals for Madueke and Mosquera are more advanced than the one for Gyökeres, but the Gunners hope to wrap up moves for all three this week. And we hope so, because we're all flying off. Well, we're not all, but they're all flying off to Singapore. A 52 million package has been agreed with Chelsea for Madueke, while Mosquera's move is set to be worth 16 million. Both players are undergoing medicals this week before putting pen to paper on long-term contracts. Madueke is due a break after playing at the Club World Cup. Madueke, you going to go for a break, or you might as well just go off with pre-season? However, Mosquera is set to be part of Arsenal's tour to Singapore and Hong Kong this month. Arsenal depart for Singapore on Saturday and want to have Gyökeres on the flight there. What's the day today? Tuesday. Come on, man. Scared done. Sporting, come on, you lost this. Talks with Sporting are at an advanced stage over a deal worth an initial 54.8 million quid with a further 8.6 million pounds in add-ons. Gyökeres has already agreed personal terms, as we know. The trio's arrival could set Arsenal back at about 130 million. When add-ons are included, the club will soon turn their attention to getting players out the door. I know we got to focus on players out through the door, but if we assume that's all done and that's 130 million, there must be a 68 million quid to just get Eze through the door. I know we need to sell, but surely we can spend 200 million and then I can understand a bit of focus. Because even that, you spend 60 million, it's still in the 100 odd million camp. Obviously, there might be a couple pennies for Rodrygo, get a couple man out the door. Let me just wake up, man, and just deal with what's in front of us. We know Lokonga is probably going to be gone. We know we took an option to extend his deal, but he could still leave. Lokonga did confirm he wants to leave in an interview, kind of like a job firing you, but you say you can't fire me because I quit. Lokonga is a myth. I want to see Lokonga go to Bayern Munich. Company, you need to show me he's the next Yaya Toure, because you opened up your mouth and said that. Fabio Vieira and Reece Nelson, who were on loan last season, can leave if suitable offers arrive. Nelson has previously been of interest to Crystal Palace, which could prove useful given Arsenal's interest in Eze. We've also heard ideally Nelson would like to stay in London. Karl-Heinz been linked with a move away. He's unlikely to want to be the third choice for Arsenal. We all know we brought people in. Zinchenko is not expected to sign a new deal, or even going to offer him one. He's got a year left. He was attracting interest in January from Borussia Dortmund. Clubs in Italy hold a long-term interest in Kiwior. It remains to be seen how strong Arsenal's resolve would be if a sizable bid came in for the defender. Trossard's been linked with Fenerbahce as well as Bayern Munich, but he's also linked with signing, a new deal. He does turn 31 later this year. Arsenal's transfer spree goes into overdrive with 6 new players set to join pre-season tour. 6? Have we really got 6 players? Okay, what? Norgard, Zubimendi, Madueke, Mosquera, Gyökeres, Kepa? Or did I say Kepa? I don't know, man. But either way, get it done. So yeah, Mosquera, bring yourself. This is said we'll go over the 200 million mark with the 6 signings, funny enough. So with a bit of confusion there, I would say. Arsenal may have to sell before they can do anything else after having talks with Crystal Palace's Eze, while any move for Real Madrid's Rodrygo looks very ambitious now. But it is what it is. Mosquera is due to have his medical, and apparently it's been booked. Documents are in place between the clubs. He'll sign a long-term deal later this week. So yeah, there's that in that regards. The Athletic did come out. I did cover this earlier today, but for you lot, I'll do it again, people. I did do a video on this. Arsenal on the verge of finally landing a number 9. A deal in principle is in place with Sporting Lisbon. Arsenal will pay a fixed fee of 63.5 million euros, plus 10 million euros in add-ons, in potential add-ons, better yet, for Gyökeres. Arteta was eager to sign a centre-forward in time for them to participate in the bulk of Arsenal's pre-season preparations, and that now appears feasible. Arsenal hope to close the deal in time for Gyökeres to join them when they depart for Singapore on Saturday, people. It's been a frenetic week on the transfer front. We've agreed a deal for Madueke, as we know. We're working on the Mosquera thing, as we know. We all know what we've brought in. They're not yet closed for business. However, Arsenal are still considering bringing in an additional attacking player. Their interest in the likes of Rodrygo and Eze remains, but may not develop until later in the window and could potentially be offset by securing some sales. We all know the list of players. The Karl-Heinz, Lokongas, Fabio Vieiras, Reece Nelsons, Zinchenko's are probably club players the club is actively pushing through the door. I think Kiwior's not in that list. I think he would have to say, I want to go. And we know Gabriel Martinelli and Trossard are always going to be linked with moves away, people. I did see in that same article, they mentioned something about Rodrygo, not directly to Arsenal, but in relation to Real Madrid. There are also expected to be departures. The Athletic have reported that Brazilian forward Rodrygo is for sale. We're just going to read the Rodrygo bit. Bro, come to the carpet, man. Apart from Rodrygo, there are many young Madrid players who could leave, blah, blah. Just tell me about Rodrygo. Anyone want to get Daddy Ceballos? Apparently, he's about to leave Real Madrid, people. Liverpool rejected a bid from Bayern Munich for Diaz. Apparently, he's made it clear he wants to leave. You know what? There's no better time than to leave on top. You just won the Premier League. I think Liverpool wouldn't mind that. You leave, more wiggle room, offset the vert spending. Is that Rodrygo, anyone else they want to bring in? But to be fair, in my opinion, Liverpool still have two big signings, if that makes sense. Like, you'd imagine Gurley signs for them. You would imagine at the very minimum, Isaac or Rodrygo signs for them. And they're going to get money. They're going to get like 30, 40 million on Harvey Elliott. They're going to make something decent on Diaz. I don't know for Darwin Núñez. I don't know if I really believe it, but obviously Canate, they're trying to get him to sign a new deal. He's being linked with Real Madrid. He's got a year left on his deal. Obviously, we saw what happened with Trent. Maybe there's something there. They've obviously got money for what's that centre back they had? For the life of me, I can't remember, but he went Leverkusen. I actually can't remember his name, but either way, they're making money. And it feels like everyone's making money but us, man. We need to start getting into that kind of realm. Sammy Motbell spoke on the latte firm, big up FK and all that. In terms of Eze, Arsenal's interest is absolutely genuine. As I understand, and while there has not been, as I understand it at the moment, while there's not been I'm reading this, a formal through the door approach to Palace, I think there would be machinations behind the scenes that Palace know that Arsenal are there or thereabouts with maybe making that formal approach before then. I'm not saying it'll be soon, but I think you probably need to balance the book first. So again, we keep seeing this now. It seems like maybe not. Obviously, we need to balance books. Everybody wants to, be in the green. I don't think it's necessarily a sell to buy, but we've read a couple of things now. It feels like, you know what, Arsenal got the bulk of the business done, bit of a pause, bit of a focus on outgoings. Maybe we've told Eze and Rodrygo's camp, you lot take your time. We'll be there like everybody else. I don't know, people. I'm not saying it'll be soon, but I think you probably need to balance the books first. But the Arsenal are there waiting unanimously to try and make a deal happen. So the release clause is 60, an initial 60 plus an extra 8 based on how he performs. And they're all performance-related bonuses, so 60 initially. But what I'm led to believe at the moment is that any suggestions that Palace would accept an offer lower than the release clause are false. I think at the moment, and I stress at the moment, that Palace and the powers that be at Palace will demand the full whack, the full 60 million, if they were to let him go. But there's a big part of me that wonders, because he's only got 2 years left on his contract, there's a part of me that wonders towards the end of the window whether that stance relaxes ever so slightly. So is that one that's going to drag? Let me know your thoughts. I'm not saying he'd be available for 40 million quid, because that's just not going to happen, right? But I wonder if there's an opportunity just to maybe shave a little bit off the asking price towards the end of the window. No clue what that's there. In terms of Rodrygo, Sammy Motbell said Arsenal are very interested in him. I think they've spoken to the relevant parties connected to the player to see whether he'd be up for it. I think they've got a positive feedback. As I understand that he would certainly give it serious consideration, but he give everybody serious consideration. Staying at Madrid, going PSG, going City, going Liverpool, going Arsenal. I don't quite think Saudi, but you could throw that in. Chelsea maybe as well, champions of the world now. And another club making a lot of money via sales. We need to get into that realm of, a couple of A-lenders bring us some quids. Because a couple of A-lenders, the Brook Norton Coffees, the Amari Hutchinsons, the Mika Berefs, you slap them at City, Liverpool, Chelsea, they're probably getting 20, 30 million on them. So long term, we need to start getting into that. Definitely where City and Chelsea are concerned, we probably need to do that more, because they've got bottomless pits of money. So yeah, it is what it is. But what I being absolutely frank, what I'm hearing is that the finance is attracted to the deal, not necessarily just the fee, but the fee will be hefty. I think you're looking in excess of 70 million, probably closer to 80 million to get that deal done. I think the wages he would demand, not demand. What? He would demand, not demand. He's an elite, one of the European football players, right? So he'll be commanding a big wage. Somebody needed to spell check this, but we didn't learn anything there. If you want Rodrygo or any players of that ilk, it's going to be big money, and it is what it is. So Arsenal could do it, but I think they need to be creative in how they accomplish that deal, but also make sure they've got the money coming in to ensure the books are balanced, because as we've already spoken about, they really had a significant spend. I'd probably say Eze would be the one who is more achievable. So just focus on Eze for me. Crystal Palace have an historic interest in Reece Nelson. I wouldn't be surprised to see Palace perhaps make an inquiry. Maybe they already have, just to crunch numbers and see if that's possible. Don't crunch no numbers, man. In fact, crunch numbers. How much do you lot want to pay for Nelson? Tell us. Knock that off Eze's fee in it. We'll give you that. We'll even throw in the Fabio Vieira on loan. F it. And that'll be a good move for Nelson. South London lad. Nelson's over there. Big up you lot, Palace, man. You lot bought Matt Turner off us. You bought Eddie and Ketty. So good, so good, unique qualities. You know, again, I would really have a lot of question marks with Arteta if he was to decide to sell you lot Reece Nelson. He's the best winger we have. Please don't buy him. Please don't buy Fabio Vieira. Please, or Zinchenko. Boy, they've been linked with Kivior as well. So whether they've got money to spend on Reece, whether they sign Reece Nelson will depend on the valuation and the price. But I think for the price, I look at Palace and I can see that as a possible destination for Reece for sure. I mean, if he wants to stay in London, there's only X amount of clubs. You're not going to go Spurs. You're not going to go Chelsea. You're not going to stay at Arsenal. You could go Palace. You could go Brentford. You could return to Fulham. That's it, innit? Palace, Arsenal, Chelsea. You could go West Ham. I've said all the London clubs, right? To be fair, Brighton and them kind of clubs and Bournemouth, it's not far from London, but there you have it. There's probably room for one more attacker in there. They're looking for maybe a left-sided attacker that we know about. I think that may be linked to 2 outgoings. Boy, we'll have to see, man, really and truly. Allegedly, Mikel Arteta sees Eze as the final piece in the jigsaw. However, Sunsport can reveal Arsenal face a major battle to sign the player in the shape of Bayern Munich, people. Romano said we remain in contact with his agent. Arsenal are hoping later in the window that Palace could soften their stance of not wanting the release clause. I hear that, but that now tells me simultaneously, go after Eze, go after Rodrygo. Make sure you've got your random Joe Blogs, because if Eze, it goes left, Rodrygo goes left, we're going to be an attacking player short by that logic. So yeah, Bayern Munich are apparently joining the race. They're linked with a left winger. I know Eze can play as a 10 and all of this, but you can see where we're going. We don't need to be too smart. So allegedly we'll go head to head. He could link up with Elise over there. This article has said that, you know, there's talk of a potential swap deal, and apparently Palace like the looks of Reece Nelson, Fabio Vieira and Trossard. We'll even give you 2 for 1 if that's what you're on. If I was Palace, which one would I want? Reece Nelson, Fabio Vieira or Trossard? I would say Trossard, you know. Age goes against Trossard, but he's a match winner. Fabio Vieira ain't pulled down any trees. I wouldn't say no. I can't say Nelson hasn't established himself. You've been a Premier League footballer, but yeah, that I think if you rock up at Palace, you're not a game changer. I think Trossard would be for Palace. Apparently, Mikel Arteta values both Martinelli and Trossard, but if a sale could unlock a deal for one of Arsenal's remaining targets, that could change things. As yet, there are no significant developments. Again, we need to get rid of some players, but I very much doubt us buying Eze is hinging on Martinelli or Trossard, maybe from a sporting perspective, but not from a financial perspective, having to go. Trossard will be sold to help balance the books at Arsenal. They demand 20 million. Martinelli is one of several names Bayern are considering for their left wing role, but nothing has developed further than that. They've actually bidded for Diaz. It's been rejected apparently. So how much the Martinelli and Trossard figure in Bayern's rumors for all the plans for all the rumors that's being said? What is this? Tab police, don't. We're having such a good stream, man. What's this? What's this about? Arsenal's attention will soon shift to outgoings. Zinchenko, Vieira, Kivior, Nelson, all potential departures this summer. Trossard also has an uncertain future in North London and mid talks over a new deal. Another long read. Palace have looked at Kivior before, but what we need to understand about that dynamic is Dougie Freeman has left Palace now, and he's no longer a sporting director. He's obviously taken a job in Saudi. So whether that interest is as of strong now that he's gone, I'm not so sure. But he's certainly on the list of players that they have been interested in or have been interested in before. So I'd imagine, having done that due diligence, if they were looking at replacements for Mark Gurhey and they can't get the one player they want, the one player they want is Diomande from Sporting. But my understanding of that situation is that, as I mentioned earlier, finances aren't necessarily flowing at Palace at the moment. So that's an expensive deal to do. So whether they can get that deal over the line remains to be seen. But if you can't get over the line, if they can't get that deal done for Diomande, then maybe look at Kivior for backup. You know what? You can have Reece Nelson. We'll slap you Kivior on loan. You can have Fabio Vieira free of charge. You can even have Kyle Hein. Just making sure we didn't miss anything. I understand Reece Nelson knows his time at Arsenal is up. He's open to leaving permanently this summer. Crystal Palace have historic interest. I wouldn't be surprised to see them make an inquiry. Maybe they already have. Zinchenko is a player Arsenal are listening to offers for. I haven't heard they're actively trying to sell him, but European football circles in the industry knows he's a player Arsenal would consider offers for. Do Arsenal move him on, or do they say, you know what, you are some level of cover at left back, we're spending a lot, maybe we park off a hat or any of that to next summer, we just use you as an option potentially? I don't know, people. My understanding is that at Arsenal, over the next 12 months, there needs to be at least one significant outgoing to recalibrate after a busy summer of spending. So add fuel to the fire of Jesus, Odegaard, Kai Havertz, Martinelli, these kind of players, in my opinion. Trossard leaving is a situation Arsenal are not ruling out. I reported myself they're talking over a pay rise. Then there's an acceptance at Arsenal that the current deal he's on is not reflective of his importance and output. In terms of contract talks, they're still ongoing. If he does end up staying, I wouldn't be surprised if he signed that contract and there would be a financial reward for him to stay. I don't begrudge Trossard. You probably are underpaid and, you know, you're 30, 31. You want a decent deal. Arsenal have been preparing the way for Fabio Vieira to leave since January. From what I understand, in their pre-planning for the summer window, his name was on the list of players they will look to sell. I don't think that's changed. My understanding is that Arsenal will make a formal offer for Nwaneri this week. I think the expectations is that he will sign a new contract. That's the direction of travel at the moment. There's now a willingness from all parties to meet in the middle. I wouldn't be surprised if that deal doesn't get done and perhaps isn't agreed by Sunday night. I think there will be a positive and swift resolution in the coming days. Shout out Sammy Mockbell. What's this? Any suggestion Palace would accept a lower offer than Eze's release clause is false. There's a part of me that wonders whether that stance relaxes ever so slightly towards the end of the window, people. So yeah, it's going to take a lot of money to try and get Rodrygo. These are not things we're not necessarily new to, people. So yeah, I think we've gone over all of that. See, I don't try and miss anything else out for you people. Smash the like button. Big up yourself, Bert. You're doing the Lord's work. Again, we're clearly open to selling Fabio Vieira, you know, him, Gabriel Jesus in it. It does appear, whether it's this year or next year, your days are numbered. It seems positive on the Nwaneri front. And then you've got that, people. So it'd be interesting to see. But that ends everything that's being said at the moment, people. DG, don't forget we sold Smith Rowe and Nketiah for 60 late in the window and haven't spent that money. How is Havertz on 300 grand a week? Is it 2 something? I didn't know it was 300. Can we get to 300 likes? Speaking of 300, how far are we away? 272. It's in sight, people. Come on, man. Come